with intensity or not at all?
Just doesn't get old. This is the Intensity Podcast. Hans the Hammer Hartleben. And folks, this show, I just want to be clear. We want to highlight the features and characteristics of go-getters. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't have to be a business owner. You don't have to be a marathon runner. You don't have to be a salesman. You don't have to be a professional bowler. You have to be a go-getter, though.
You got it.
Those are the requirements. Does that make sense? So here's the deal. If you feel you are a go-getter, I want to know about it. We want to give something back to our audience, our viewers, even if they only take one thing and they repeat, oh, she said this, she said that. Go to hanshartleben.com and fill out a contact us form and let me know that you want to be on the show. Okay, we do have a pretty big list right now going, which is great. It's an awesome list, and we'll get through it. But I gotta stretch it out a little bit, or I'll run out of material. Okay. So today we are with Stephanie MacIntyre.
Hello.
And guys, I'm gonna be very clear about this too. She is what I call a firecracker. Okay, so I'm super excited about having her. She is the GFM of Fire Fitness Camp. She is a coach. And you're personally very involved in fitness and your own personal fitness ventures. You're a fitness enthusiast, first and foremost. You're also a wife and a mother of two awesome kids. Okay, that's why this is so great. Because honestly, I feel like, and I don't know what you go through, but you're involved in membership sales. I have been for a long time. You hear the excuses. Do you feel like moms in general, not slamming moms, but I feel like moms use their kids for an excuse on many different levels, and I don't think it's fair. I think they're dragging them in. Is it true? Is it real? Go and take it.
So being a mom, obviously, I have two kids, and it's very easy to prioritize your kids over yourself. And you can call that an excuse 100%, because as a mom, I have learned that if I don't put myself first, I cannot be 100% a good mom, where I need to prioritize me so that I can fill my cup so that I can pour into them.
Well, I love that. That came pretty quick and pretty natural too. I mean, that's how you feel. I know you.
100%.
I know you're not what I do know, and I don't know a lot about you personally. That's why this is a cool thing. I know you through business. Mm-hmm. Okay, I see the businesswoman side of you. I see social media stuff. Which, if I just thought this is funny, and this is made up, of course, but if I have these little scenarios in my head, like Stephanie MacIntyre, and I'm trying to describe you. Do you know her? And if someone's involved in fire. Yeah, she's the ripped mom who dry scoops.
True.
And I thought that was an awesome description. She's the ripped mom who dry scoops her pre-workout. And that is just so cool. But as far as the excuses, what do you see? Do you see genuine people that are saying, I cannot do A, B, or C? And we're not just talking about fitness, just in life. I see people using kids for an excuse for work. I can't show up to work because of this, because they're sick. It's like these poor kids are always getting blamed for everything. What'd you say?
I think that kids can be definitely used as an excuse, and I think that it depends on the type of person. So that's more of a personal than realistic. So I think if they're using their kids, I think it'll catch up to them eventually.
What do you mean by that?
I mean that if somebody is consistently using their kids as an excuse for any day life, like, oh, I can't go to work because of my kids, I want to encourage that. What kind of example are you setting for them? They are consistently your excuse. And if you don't see it as an excuse, I think it needs to be a little bit deeper into what they want in life.
What other ways do you see women being held back from pursuing something of higher greatness?
They don't have the confidence.
I actually had that written down. So I was going to ask you about women's confidence. I just feel like you are very good at building women's confidence levels. I see you demonstrating your own confidence. And I see maybe some people, I think an easy reactive trait is jealousy, or some type of negativity. You might not run into that at all, but I just feel like people who want to be a certain way too, sometimes their natural reaction is stop, or that's not good,
So I'm going to dive a little bit deeper on this because confidence is huge, and a lot of people can look at me and say, wow, she is so lucky. It just comes so natural. But I want to back up. There's a Michigan Stephanie and there's a Wisconsin Stephanie. So we all have a past. We all have a story. And it took me 7 years to figure out that it is okay to be unapologetically you. It took me 7 years. And that's kind of embarrassing to say, but I moved to Green Bay to start fresh, to start over. And it took 7 years from being in Green Bay to be who I am today. So I feel like I have earned that unapologetically to be me. And I feel like if I could give anybody any advice on how to get that confidence, it's to be real and true with yourself.
Do you care to elaborate about anything when sound like darker times to me that you had to, what happened before? What was the Michigan Stephanie like? I don't know. This is part of you coming on here. I want to learn more about you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have never shared my story publicly. I have shared it with several clients who are in the depths of struggling with whatever they're struggling with. I do share my story. I got married right out of high school, married my high school sweetheart, and things didn't go so well. I don't know what happened, but I feel like maybe once you sign a marriage certificate at a young age, there might be some ownership over one another, and some abuse came physically, emotionally. I was definitely brainwashed. I believed the things that I was no good. I was nothing without him. Lots of things. So it was in the darkest of times where I worked a lot. I went right out of high school to college for a 2 years associate's degree in business. I was told that if I wasn't a nurse, that I was no good for nothing. So I went through the courses, became a CNA, went through LPN, and then I ended up working at 2 different nursing homes. So I would work in Escanaba on Eastern time, and then I would drive to Powers because they were on Central time, and I'd work 3 to 11, and then drive and work 11 p.m. till 7 a.m. because it was really 12 to 8. And it was really just so that I wasn't at home.
Gotcha.
So
bury yourself in work.
Yep. But it was really because I was told that I was useless. I was good for nothing. Life was very materialistic, and everything was surrounded about money. Being abused and being in different situations like that, it takes a lot to come out of when you're told every day.
Are you just talking about mental, emotional abuse, or physical too?
Oh, there was physical too.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That's tough.
Yep. But I don't have any regrets. I am glad that I went through everything that I did, because I would not be who I am had I not experienced all of that.
That's tough. When you talk about character building.
Yeah.
You find out who the real you is. And without being cheesy or cliche, mm-hmm. the real characters inside has to survive. And then come up with the new standards for your life moving forward.
Yep.
I don't put up with this, or this, right?
Yep. Well, I put up with a lot because I felt like I was stuck. I felt like, I said I was getting married. I got married. I felt very stuck. And there's a lot of people who are like, well, I could never leave. I could never do this on my own. You can. You just have to be willing to pull that trigger and work for it. So I went through, I would have stuck out a lot. I stuck out being woke up in the middle of the night. He'd beat the crap out of me and say, why are you sleeping? You should be cleaning the house. But I will say that is not who he was. He was grieving a loss of his family, and there was, a note. There was no funeral. There was nobody was allowed to be there at the burial. So in his defense, and I hate to do that, but I always try to find the good in everybody.
You're being honest.
He didn't have any closure, and so he turned to drugs and alcohol. And that drugs from a small amount turned into a lot. So I do say anytime that something did happen, he wasn't in the right state of mind. And you can say that was my excuse in the time, but I do try to give him the benefit of the doubt that he is still a good person when he's not, when he's in the right state of mind. So we were young. There was lots of growing up to do. And I got the blunt end of it through that. I've had a pistol to my head. He had me at gunpoint. Like very, very scary stuff that I don't wish upon anybody. And I would have continued to stick that out. I tried to get him help. I was like, hey, listen, like, we got to figure this out. Like, you're not in the right state of mind. Like, there's therapy, there's counseling, there's other ways to get over hardships. But it just, the drugs, the alcohol completely took over. And it wasn't until I came home to a girl in my house that I had proof of adultery that I called my dad. I said, you need to get your truck, you need to get your trailer. So my dad and my sister packed up all of my stuff. I filed for divorce that morning. And there's a lot to that story. Oh, yeah. I was
but
not.
That's the straw that broke the camel's back, basically. You're willing to
Yes.
overlook all, because that's a totally different thing that happened.
But I also, I was not perfect in the situation. I took all of my aggression out on that poor girl, and I've never been a fight in my life until that day.
I wouldn't want to be in her shoes if you know this firecracker.
I'm embarrassed to say it, but yes, I let everything out on that poor girl. I do pray for her often. I hope she's doing well. But she had 2 black eyes. I ripped an earring out. She had internally bleeding in an ear. He ended up pulling me off of her and throwing me out of the house. But yeah.
Oh, there's a lot there. So then you... how is he doing now, do you think? Do you know?
He is still living in the house that we had 23 acres right on the river. But yes, he's still living in that house. He's probably had 6 or 7 girls move in and move out at that point.
How do you think it's like that, before you move on completely, what happened to him? Does you think he still has problems with alcohol and...
I can't say for sure. I don't really follow up on him. I do pray for him. It was actually, I'm a grudge holder, if you believe it or not. And I moved to Green Bay June of 2012. And it wasn't until February of 2019 where it was like a light switch where I was able to talk about everything. Okay. I held everything in. I didn't tell anybody about the situations that I went through. I kept it to myself. And then it was February of 2019 at church that we did a 6-week series on forgiveness. And a pastor had came in and told his story about how he was a pastor from Detroit, and he had a book that he wrote called something about forgiveness. And he told his story on how somebody had broken into his house and stabbed him 23 times and completely turned his life upside down. He was on the kitchen floor, bleeding out. crawled to the neighbor for help, and this guy stole all of his money in his car, and he had the heart to forgive. Oh. And he went to the prison and visited this guy and told him that he forgave him. And I was like, wow, it was just so powerful that I have not been one to easy to forgive. And I left church that day, and I actually called my ex-husband, and I said, I just want you to know that I forgive you for everything that you put me through. Through all of those moments, I can now use them as lessons in life. And it wasn't until that moment that things had changed for me.
What did he say when you said that?
He said, I don't forgive you. And it was fine. I was okay because I had got it out.
He's saying he's still holding on to that.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
After what okay.
Yep.
Interesting. I really feel I'm very stern about the fact that holding grudges, well, maybe it's just me though. I can't. I don't have the capacity in my body to hang on to that because there's too much there. It will consume me, and I am not worth a shit anywhere doing anything else. Mm-hmm. I'm uneasy, unrested, and for me, I have to let it go.
That's good. That's a good quality to have.
But but holding a damn grudge, like my daughter can hold a grudge, sometimes comes in pretty handy too. Mm-hmm. So there's a fine line there. But I think it's to everybody's different.
Yeah. It wasn't until that year, so that was February, November of 2019, he had called me and let me know that his other grandma had passed away, and he wanted me to hear it from him. And I said, wow, that was really big of you, because he knew that we still had a relationship. I didn't grow up with grandparents, so his grandparents were my grandparents growing up. And he's like, she would want you to be there, so I just want you to know you are welcome to attend any and all services. And I was like, that was really big of you. And he's like, and I just want you to know that I forgive you too. Oh. So it did happen, but that's
a nice closure to that.
Yep.
Went through hell to get all that, but such is life sometimes.
Yeah.
Wow. And you're obviously a changed woman with all that, and you set some different expectations for yourself, the way it sounds. Mm-hmm. What about, let's jump into your career now, where you're at. So it's kind of fast forwarding a little bit. You're very, very involved in fitness. What have you always been involved in fitness?
Through high school, I was an all-around gymnast and a competitive figure skater. So I definitely have the athleticism throughout my journey. But fitness was more of like a mental health thing for me. So it really, just moving my body really, really got for me. And then after the kids were born, getting back to where I was. After Gordon, it was pretty easy after that first pregnancy to get back to where I was. But after Ansley, I was like, oh my God, all right, I'm really going to have to put in some effort. So I think it was that where it clicked, where I had to not just go through the motions. And I kind of became a cardio queen in 2018, 2019. And I was like, oh my gosh, this weight just will not come off, no matter what I did. So that's really when I became a nutrition nerd and dug into food as fuel. And so nutrition is really my love language as of April of 2020, when I acknowledged wow, it really does matter what you eat. Mm-hmm. So it was probably after kids that I was like, it's not just going to happen.
You had to look for alternatives. This isn't working. You can only beat yourself up doing cardio so much.
Mm-hmm. And people say, oh, you'll just have to get used to your new mom bod.
Oh yeah, they love that. People love that.
It's your hormones, and you'll just have to get used to it.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Stay where you're at. Yes. Stay miserable.
Yep.
I just see so many people too. The first people that say, you guys should get married. Two new. In a new relationship. And then first ones to say you guys should get divorced. Oh, you shouldn't put up with that. People are funny.
Yeah.
They sometimes have some really evil some evil endings in their mind. You know what I mean?
Yes, for sure.
Just talking about cardio too. Not that was, obviously, everybody knows nutrition's 80%. Sometimes people say more. But it's no fun for most people to talk about that side of things.
No, but it's not cardio. I wish I could tell my 20-year-old self, you need to lift weights. I wish I would have gotten to weightlifting in my 20s and didn't wait till my 30s.
I think a lot of people feel that way. And we really try, okay, let's use fire for an example. Hey, I want to do more cardio. And then the first thing I say is, I ask them, why? What are your goals? We don't do enough cardio at fire. We're lifting too much weights, okay? Well, what are your goals? Well, and they'll never say, I want to lose weight. They will say what? I want to tone up. That's people's favorite word. It's so cute, that word, that toning up, which the actual definition of toning your muscle is reducing the body fat so the muscle looks flexed, okay? So you're stripping body fat. So we're talking about weight loss.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about weight loss, we burn about 200 calories in a half an hour of cardio. So that's why we don't just sit and do jumping jacks, okay, or run in place. 200 calories in a half an hour, and the problem is there's no residual caloric expenditure. So the body doesn't have any post-oxygen consumption. When you're damaging the muscle, and I know it sounds bad, why would I want to damage myself? Subclinical injuries, the little acute injuries that still need to heal is where the calorie burn really is instilled, and the weight loss, the body fat reduction. So I'll go into that. I've been into that right there, that little line about 1,000 times over the last 15 years.
But it's a lot more than that. It's not just the number on the scale. So if you want to tone up, you might see the same number or higher on the scale, but you're going to like what you see in the mirror. Your clothes are going to fit better, and you're going to be more confident just with that alone.
Body composition. And, we talk about, people say weight loss. We talk about weight loss. It's really, we want to lose the stuff that moves and jiggles. There's nobody that basically is going to say, I want to keep the stuff that's moving around on me.
Yep.
Buddy of mine had a funny little thing. He said, you want to measure your body fat percentage? Take your shirt off and ride the lawnmower. Mow the lawn without a shirt. I'm like, yeah, I know. That'd be a rough one. Very cool. Yeah. So your fitness journey's going well.
Yes.
I mean, I see the flexing photos, love them. I feel like you're very strong on your social media. You always have something going on. And I feel strongly that that's work. I feel like social media posts, stories, anytime you're putting yourself out there to create some type of message, that's fucking work, okay? And now I'm just talking about my personal experiences, because we run into a lot of people that go, well, I'm not good at that. That's you. You could do that, but I'm not good at that. And I think that's bullshit. What say you?
For me, it's not work because it's just sharing what I love. I don't share anything that doesn't bring me joy. I put everything on there. So when you first asked me to be on your podcast, I was like, why me? Like, I am a very conservative badass. I am the nicest asshole. I am not, I'm very real.
I haven't heard that one before.
I'm very real. I'm very raw. I'm very honest. I am not going to share something that I haven't personally tried myself. If somebody asks
I've heard you say that before.
If somebody asks me for my advice, I'm going to say, are you sure you want to know? Because I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. And
How bad do you want my advice? I love it. That's true, though. Your preference, because you don't want to hurt their feelings.
So, and that's the other thing, is this world, you have to walk around eggshells because you're so afraid you're going to hurt somebody's feelings. And I'm not like that. I'm going to tell it how it is, and I will be unapologetically me. But I feel like I have earned that. So I can see where you're like, oh, you should help me, like, be on this show. And I was like, I'm not very intense. Like, but maybe I am. And I thought about that too. I'm like, ooh, me on an intensity podcast. And the more I thought about it, is to me, intensity is an emotion. And I am intense with everything that I do because I always give 110%, no matter what I'm doing.
That's the way I see you. Isn't that funny? You don't know how other people really how they consider your personality.
Right. I could,
how you portray yourself is different than how you think you're portrayed.
Like, I know how I want people to
Right.
perceive me. Like, I don't want them to look at me and be like, oh my gosh, Stephanie is so intense. She is like intimidating. Like, I want people to say, oh my gosh, I had the worst day ever, but I thought about Stephanie and it really wasn't that bad. I thought about Stephanie and it made me realize that there was 5 positive things that happened today versus the 1 negative thing. That's
huge.
how I want people to perceive me. So that is why I will always be real. I will always be raw, and I'm going to tell you how it is, but I'm going to help you solve that problem. Not just going to be like, "Oh, that sucks for you."
Mm-hmm. A lot of people like that.
How can I help you?
What do you think out of 10 people that come to you with a problem, how many really want the answer?
They usually say, yes, tell me, and then I'll say it, and then they're like, oh. And then I'm like, but let's find a solution.
It's not what they want to hear, you mean?
It's not what they want to hear, but I'm going to help them find a solution.
Mm-hmm.
If they truly are coming to me and they're going to listen to the raw and the real, they want help, and they're willing to work for it.
Yeah. It feels good to help somebody.
And those who aren't willing to work for it, they don't come back for the check-in.
Mm-hmm. You can't help everybody. I mean, not everybody's ready.
Right.
Like even when we're sitting down with fitness memberships, we have our pricing matrix, right? With that said, which one of these packages makes most sense for you? And there's the excuses start flying out. And hey, we'll pull it away because we're not here to jam this down people's throat.
You can't want it more for somebody than they want it for themselves.
It's a big one right there.
Mm-hmm.
How many times has that happened in the last couple of years with you? That you felt that you've wanted it more for this person?
I always tell them, like when they're very hesitant, like, oh, I really would love to do this, but I can't make that financial commitment. And it's always, well, do you not feel like you are worth it? Because you want it, but you don't want to pay for it, right? I'm willing to help you change your life. Like how bad do you want it? You have to be willing to work for it.
Do you actually say those things?
I do.
That's what I'd want to hear. I'll tell you what. I mean, I know how I am, what works with me, what closes me or what sells me. Mm-hmm. And I need to hear something a little more brutal. I can't hear things sugarcoated. It's never going to work. Do you ever offend anybody when you're doing that close, I call it?
I am very good at reading the room and the conversations that we're having. So if it's somebody who's very sensitive, I can have that sensitive conversation. So depending on what the conversation is, my verbiage changes from client to client, but those who want it are willing to work for it, or we'll look over the numbers and say, hey, I really want to lose 100 pounds this year. That's great, but you have to be consistent for the whole year. And when you're striving for a weight loss goal, you have to be 100%, 100% of the time. Like, you have to be consistent. You have to give me 100%. And have the chocolate on Valentine's Day. Have the Easter egg, the chocolate Easter egg on Easter.
Cadbury egg.
Celebrate your birthday. But that's just it. It's a celebration and you move on. And it doesn't have to be a celebration all day. Have your piece of cake and then get back on track. So when you have a goal like that, it's not, oh, I had the cake, now I might as well have the ice cream, and I can't just have half of it. I have to eat the whole pint. So it's really just that self-control.
Is that almost some addiction going on there?
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that can't have any. They open that can of worms, and it doesn't stop.
That's me. I was a binger.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Binging with exercise, binging without exercise. Mm-hmm. What other things were you binging with?
Basically, food. I was a food binger. So,
Okay.
I can't just have one Oreo. I have to have the whole damn row.
Because there's people that binge with almost anything in life, too, And it's scary because I see some people, the people that scare me the most when we're talking about fitness are the people that go so gung-ho. They are in their, intensity is one thing with our program, right? Mm-hmm. Functional, intensive resistance exercise. but you're not going to, you're not going to offset 20 years of unhealthy habits in one day or a week of just cranking up the intensity.
Correct.
You got to come in tomorrow and do the same thing. It's better to even tone it down and just keep showing up and keep moving, going through the motions. But those people that are killing themselves in camps and doing that, they scare me because they fall off fast.
Well, and you can't outrun the fork, okay? You just can't do it. So with that being said, you come to me and say you want to lose 100 pounds, you need to give me a full commitment because 1 to 2 pounds a week is a healthy weight loss. If you're losing more than that, it's not going to be sustainable.
Unless you weigh 300 pounds.
Correct. And in a healthy manner. We want to really be careful with that. But then once you reach that goal, you can't say 100 pounds. So we need to break it down into smaller goals.
Smart goals.
Correct. Because otherwise you're just going to feel like you're failing all the time. So you're going to break it down, strive for those goals.
Unless you lost that 100 pounds, you're failing. Right?
Correct.
Because if that's the only goal they have.
Yep.
I like that. By the way, I've been wearing, you see my wardrobe over here. Mm-hmm. I usually wear a polo, fruity colored polo, usually. We're matching on accident. You know, when she walked in, I was wearing this, correct?
Correct.
And I usually switch out of it because they only see my upper half.
Yeah, well, that's funny because I had like a blazer on and I had a black sparkly shirt on, and I was like, this isn't me. Like, I like to be comfy. Baggy jeans with my dunks and just a comfy
I'm glad you're
sleeve.
comfortable. I'm glad you're comfortable.
I did. I changed right before I walked out the door.
Okay. All right. It's interesting. So this isn't an advertising ploy.
No, this was...
Anyways. Talked about your nutrition. That is something I wanted to hit, the importance of it. What about how do you balance all this? You probably get this question a lot. When we talk about you being a mom of 2 children, a wife, you have a career, in sales, there's a lot of long hours. You're a coach. How do you balance it all? And then your own personal journey.
That's a great question. So I involve my family in my career. So teaching my kids that, obviously I do fitness for a living. So I try to jump into a camp with each and all of the clients. So I spread out my camp time. So I'm not doing the same camp every single day. I try to jump in so that all the clients, I can work out with them, which is very inspiring to me. At home, usually in between like the kids, everything I can do is very flexible, reaching out to clients. I probably work 24/7. I've always been a workaholic. But this is probably the only job that it just comes so natural to me. So like, I don't know, I would do it for free. It's not work when you love what you do.
Yeah. And that's another cliche thing, but have you ever done a job where you just weren't passionate about?
That's a great question. So, working in the nursing home, old people are my people. I know
we need help there. They need help.
So I worked in an Alzheimer unit, and I absolutely loved what I do, helping people. There has not been a job that I didn't love. I was the store manager of Victoria's Secret when I first moved to Green Bay. I ran the Pink store, helped out both. When I first started, it was Victoria's Secret and Pink combined. And then when Pink went freestanding, they had asked me to take over the Pink store. And I absolutely loved it. That was fun.
That's good energy, isn't it?
It
Where
is.
you run in, there's new, hey, how you doing today? What can I help you find?
Yes.
I love the retail setting. I'm not going to lie. Even when we set up supplements, rehab products and stuff, we did a little bit of Oshkosh.
Yeah.
A little table and just started to mingle with people, and they start spitting out their own stories and what they have going on. Mm-hmm. It's just good energy.
It really is. And just getting them into clothes that made them feel good, and then they left, that always made me feel good. But my passion was the shipment processing and the floor sets, and I just really enjoyed it. And I did go to school for business management, so that was a cool
Interesting.
experience, and I learned a lot from it. So I was very thankful for that. I have never worked a job that I didn't like.
That's hard to find, hard to hear.
Yeah.
Not often do we hear that. Very cool. Well, it's good for you that you had enough backbone to select some of these things that you had a true passion, because you probably know yourself.
Yeah.
Right? And I don't see you half-assing anything.
Nope,
Gotta be all
110%.
in.
Everything that I do, 110%.
I want to get back to real quick, just the female confidence. If you had to, what would be your biggest, I don't know, bullet point, your some type of priority list of importance on what does a woman need to succeed? What does she need to do to instill her confidence level?
Not care what other people think.
But that's easy to say.
It is easy to say. The more you
So
can
you're
just,
saying that is the biggest roadblock for most people. That's a good point.
I do think that what holds a lot of people back from their best confidence is a fear of judgment.
So
Also,
how do they get past it, though? Help us out here.
I think the other thing is social media and the girls on there, like all the influencers who are the perfect shape and the perfect, before, back at my day, it was all the magazines, and you had to be, oh, you're not on the cover of this magazine, you don't look like X, Y, and Z. And now it's social media. You have all these influencers telling you, oh, their fitness program is this, or they take these supplements and those supplements, and you can look like this too. And in reality, they're probably all on that GPL-1 shot, where they're not telling you.
Well, okay, so now you have identified the problems, though. And I couldn't agree with you more. But how? Okay, that's what's bothering them, and that's a hard thing.
How do you get over it?
How can the average woman create more confidence? Maybe I'll simplify the question just to make it a little easier, a little more direct to answer. Nancy comes up to you. What, and she's not going to say, hey, how do I get more confidence? But you could see it. We could see it in her eyes. You could hear it in her voice. You know her a little bit. You know that that's the issue. What should she do? A, B, and C.
I think putting themselves first and doing something like a Nonscale victory to get that up there. And
give me an example, though. Like what? It's broad.
Okay. So I have a client who came in and was absolutely bottom of the bottom. I haven't left my house. I can't face the world. And I said, give me 30 days. Give me 30 days.
Give you 30 days.
You show up here 3 times a week. Give me 30 days. And then it was, hey, you showed up this week. Great job. And then it was pointing out, you did that. You said you could never do that, but you tried. But that's somebody holding their hand. So if you were on your own and you didn't have anybody to reach out to, they have to want it. And if they're not willing to step out of their comfort zone, then nothing is going to happen for them.
Is fitness the only way to get confidence?
No.
What are some other ways that you say for Nancy? She's down. She hasn't left her house in a while. She mopes. You know the people that aren't walking with purpose? You could spot them. What are some other things that a female can do to gain confidence and some bounce in their step?
I mean, they have to find what brings them joy. So maybe it's finding a hobby of knitting, or finding a hobby of going to paint and pottery, or...
That's kind of like Betty Lou.
Maybe.
What about Nancy, who's 40? You can tell her to knit?
Yeah.
Still start knitting? Start knitting, Nancy. Well, what does she like to do? You just came. I know I'm giving you shit, but
go play bingo.
What do you love to do? Like what is it? There's something you're good at. Something you love playing ping pong. Play fucking ping pong once a week.
Yeah, but that's fitness. That's movement.
It's not fitness. It's sports.
Yeah, it's still movement.
Something. But find what you love to do. I think that's...
Movement is medicine.
I just want to
would say
hear
that's
more
my
examples.
Number one answer.
Movement is medicine, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, find something to keep you active because...
I agree, though. I think fitness is... I think
Fitness is number
exercise... fitness, I don't even like the word that much. Exercise is the best medicine on so many different levels, especially emotional.
Oh, 100%. But that's the thing. People feel like they're stuck in their job and they're miserable at their job. Get a new job. I mean,
there's another... Okay, now you're open. Now you're getting...
It sounds easier said than done, or you feel like you're stuck in this house with this boyfriend who you don't even like, but you feel stuck because you don't feel like you can do it on your own. And I hear that a lot. I have a handful who are living with their boyfriend and they feel stuck because they couldn't do it on their own. But why can't you do it on your own? One, you lack confidence. You feel like you can't afford it. But I am here to tell you that when I moved from Michigan to Green Bay, Wisconsin, I had nothing. I signed everything over because I was just so thankful that I was out of that relationship that I felt stuck in. And I didn't know how I was going to pay my bills. I didn't know which way was left, which way was right. In fact, they wouldn't let me sign a lease on an apartment in Green Bay because I didn't have a job in Green Bay, but nobody would hire me in Green Bay because I didn't have a residential address. So it's like, how do you do this? But I wanted it so bad that I made it work.
You bulldozed it.
And it's who you talk to. You have to talk to people. So
is it part of taking no for an answer?
Right. So you have to tell people your struggles, which it's embarrassing and it's tough, but if you don't talk about it, you don't know how to get help. So I had told one of my elementary school friends, I was like, she lived in Green Bay. I was like, how do you have to ask people if you want to get anywhere, and you can't just be, you have to do it to move on. So she was like, well, I don't know. Well, she ended up calling me the next day and she's like, hey, my husband's best friend, his lease is up on his 1 bedroom and he's willing to get a 2 bedroom. If you want to room with him, it will help him out because then his rent will go down. I was like, well, I've never met him before, but sure. So
at that point you were just, you needed it.
What
you
do
needed
you do?
Residence.
You have to do what you got to do to move forward. So I ended up moving in with this guy who I met one time at their wedding, and he was the best roommate I could have asked for. He was wonderful. He never hit on me. He never it was
legit
we were never
roommates.
home
Legit.
At the same time. We were never home at the same time, but it gave me a place to live. So now I had an address. And then I had got a job at Olive Garden and Victoria's Secret.
Now you're on a roll.
Right. Started at both places.
Talk about confidence building, though.
I was still, at that point, I was still very
But you're getting some wins. You're getting some wins here.
Then, right. But you have to take it step by step. Like I said, it took me 7 years to get to where I was. And if I could go back and just take those steps and just believe and trust the process, it wouldn't have taken me so long. And again, I have zero regrets, and I'm thankful for all of the things that I went through because I wouldn't be where I am today not experiencing those things. It's just crazy how that all works out. But if you don't take the chance on yourself, you're going to be miserable forever.
Oh, I like that. Take the chance on yourself. I just see so many people that need to take a couple more chances.
Mm-hmm. Life is too short not to. So you're going to live miserable the rest of your life because you're afraid to start over?
This might go into that other question I asked, though. But what advice for moms? What's your biggest piece of advice for moms who want to crush it in life? Is that too much like the other question? What comes to your mind? I'm a mom. I'm a single mom of 2 kids, and I want to crush it in life. What should I do?
Do it. Go after it. Do whatever it takes. Just do it. Whatever you're feeling and you feel like it is too big, take baby steps to get there. Just go after it. So what I like to do is if I have like, hey, I want to do this, break it down until you get there, because it will be the best accomplishment that you ever have in life. And don't use your kids as an excuse. Use them as your motivation.
Ooh. You know, isn't it hard not using the Nike slogan when you're speaking? Just do it.
Just do it.
You know, they're saying, though,
Yeah.
that was by far the best slogan ever created on earth, is just do it. It means
hard.
so much. It
And
means, you know what I mean?
It is easier said than done, but don't
Whatever
be afraid.
it is,
Don't live
though.
in fear. Don't live in fear.
And whatever it is, though, right?
Yeah.
Just do it, whatever that is.
What's the worst that can happen? What's the worst that can happen? You're stuck where you are forever?
Right, you're already at the worst.
Right.
Awesome.
And think about how proud your kids would be. Like, you know,
Yeah, and you do need to make yourself proud.
you have to
probably
get
first,
out of your
right?
comfort zone.
'Cause if you're not your own biggest fan, who's gonna be?
You gotta be. You gotta be. Because if you're not cheering yourself on, nobody else is gonna either. Nobody's gonna do it for you. You have to put in the work. So I do have a story to share that.
Please do.
Oh my gosh. So my biggest fear is guns. I am like, I can't get over it. Like I get anxious. And I don't believe in like anxiety or depression. Like I truly feel that those are emotions, but like around guns, I get very anxious. Like I get like, oh my God. Like, oh. So Gordon, he is my 9-year-old son, and he started hunting 2 years ago. And last year he needed his own gun. And obviously he's not old enough to buy a gun. And Al is from Scotland, so he is not a U.S. citizen.
Al is your husband.
Yep. And not a U.S. citizen, so he can't buy a gun.
Al's from Scotland? Wait a minute.
Yes, yes.
Al's last name is MacIntyre.
Yes.
Okay.
So there's actually a MacIntyre tartan.
That was just an Irish name, but apparently Scottish
Scotland.
too. Sure.
Yep. Yeah. So not
Okay,
even,
sorry.
No, that's
just
okay.
took me back there. I love that.
Yeah. Not a U.S. citizen, cannot buy a gun. And so Al asked me, hey, will you buy this gun for Gordon? And I was like, sure. So I thought like I could do it online. No, you have to go there. And so I walk in and I'm like,
You got to show face.
oh my God. And they're asking me all these questions. And so they're like, is this gun is for you? And I was like, oh no. And I was like, oh shit. Yep, it's for me. And it was so out of my comfort zone because I cannot get over that. Like I lock
Guns,
up.
period.
Yes.
They can change a lot and
It just.
pull the trigger.
So anyways, I had to carry this gun out to my car.
Talking about a shotgun or a rifle?
I don't know. She's like, do you want to see it? And I was like, oh, no, thanks. I'm
No,
good. Keep
no.
it in the box. Keep it in the box. But it was out of my comfort zone. But when you say you will do anything, you truly like, okay, am I over my guns? No, I'm not. Will I ever be? I don't know. I don't know how to get over it. But I did it. I got that gun and I got it in my car and now Gordon's a hunter and
Well, he was proud of his mom.
yeah, well, he probably doesn't understand or know, but someday he will, you know.
Yeah, that's true. They usually find out. The story comes up again.
Yeah.
Or it's amazing how much you do remember as a little kid.
Yeah, I don't
some
tell him
of
I
the
have a
certain
fear of
incidents.
guns, but
You what?
I don't tell him I have fear of guns.
No,
but-
you're freaking superwoman to him. You stop bullets. Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah. So you just have to get out of your comfort zone. And like, I mean, even me being here, like, I was like, oh, that's really uncomfortable. But honestly, that's where the magic happens.
If you're not nervous, it's usually not worth doing.
Yeah.
If it doesn't make you nervous. I said I was going to play baseball until I stopped getting nervous going up to bat. Getting in that batter's box. If you don't feel anything, it's time to go.
Yeah.
So
That's a good point.
Nerves are good. And when you are nervous, usually your body's in that fight or flight state. Eyes dilate, veins dilate. Your epinephrine gland is functioning a little, faster, creating adrenaline so you can physically perform better. So there could be a lot of reward to that.
Yeah.
anyways, you want to wrap it up? You ever see how we wrap the show up? Do it with intensity. You ever see that?
I don't know that I saw it.
All right, well, I'm going to have to do it for you.
All right.
All right, guys. Thank you. Can they find you? Can they find you on social media?
Oh, yeah. Stephanie MacIntyre. Pretty easy.
Pretty easy, guys. We got right here.
So you're gonna do it with intensity?
Or not at all. Right?
That's right.
All right. Thanks, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Right.